Hello friends, my name is FirstDane and welcome to a first look at Endzone, A World Apart. No, it's not an American football sim, it's a post-apocalyptic city builder, much akin to the Banished game that came out some years ago. It has a lot of similar systems in place that I think I'll show you a bit later when we actually dive into it, but if the word Banished means anything to you in terms of city builders, stick around and see what I have to say about that. It looks, I don't know, we'll get there. The colony management, the city management stuff comes through pretty well, even in this very early state. You can see here that it is the early access build. It just came out today on Steam, actually. This is a game that I have been following for literally weeks. And I was actually surprised this morning when I got the email that it had released. I didn't realize it was that close, but here we are. We'll take a quick look at the options menu before we dive into a new game. What you're seeing spinning in the background here is my playthrough of the tutorial. So without spoiling or getting too far ahead of ourselves, you can kind of see at least what the aesthetic of the game is like. It's very rugged. We're ultimately collecting scrap and harvesting trees and fishing and things like that. Again, this was maybe 10 or 15 minutes, but it's kind of a quick look at it. And the options menu here, this is why I wanted to come here more so than anything, is I'm playing at a resolution that is not currently optimized for the game. I did some testing with some recording before I started this, and I didn't notice any hiccups. The frame rate seems pretty good. As we're sitting here spinning, I'm seeing 53 FPS at an unsupported resolution and with our settings about as high as they can go. Actually, I think they are as high as they can go. The audio's kind of whatever. There's not much here. I don't actually know what the radiation sound effect is yet. I didn't really notice it in the 10 or 15 minutes it took me to get through the tutorial. But this is what there is. Everything's maxed out, so what you'll see here is about as good as the game looks for now, and I think it looks pretty good. So we'll jump into a new game, and already this is reminding me a lot of Banished with this kind of weird random settlement name. It looks like we can actually potentially play together, or if we get some interesting seeds going, we can share them, which is cool. Here's our seed here if you happen to want to play along for some reason. I like this down here, though. This also is very much like a Banished, where you can change the number of mountains and lakes and things like that. I'm gonna let the Banished things go here in a minute, but I spent quite a lot of hours in that game when I was some years younger. I guess it's not that old, maybe 8 years old or something. Anyway, the other things that we can change here, this looks to be kind of an easier start to me. I don't really know what all this is, but we can start with more or less followers. The tools, I don't really know what that is either. I'm assuming that's how easily they're able to build and farm and things like that. And then their protective clothing. So I know I can deduce that a radiation suit is better than a carbon mask and a scarf. So whatever. This is all default stuff. This is also all default stuff. I'm going to leave it as is. Let's randomize like 5 times and just go with what we get. Quietus. Sounds good to me. So other than that, yeah, there hasn't been any other performance issues that I've noticed. Whenever I tab out of the game, my computer really struggles with whatever is going on in the background, which is not much, but let's pause for now. I can also tell you that so far, I'm currently playing on a NVIDIA 2070 Super, and it's running at about 70 to 75% of my GPU. Again, I think that's probably a resolution thing, that it's not optimized for this resolution, but I figured it was worth noting nonetheless. This is what we start out with, and I'm already like digging the, I don't know, kind of like Mad Max-ish vibes of this RV. It doesn't look like it could have possibly driven here, considering it's got some scrap metal on it and whatnot. But this is what we have. Here are little settlers. This is as far in as we can actually zoom, but you can see these are the masks that I think we started with on all of our settlers. And if we go down here to this menu, we can actually see what jobs they can be assigned to and what we currently have available. You can see the different systems that we're going to be looking at, water, food, various resources we can get, and so on. And this is the last time I'm going to say it, but this is just like Banished, in that you can just kind of come through here and randomly assign, or not randomly, you can actively assign people to different professions and so on. That's the last one, probably. In the tutorial, they didn't get too deep into the people management too much outside of this menu. So I know that sometimes changing professions a lot can make people more or less happy. And I also noticed that the population seemed to boom faster than I would have expected. There's a lot of things that seem to happen in a time frame that doesn't make sense so far, but I'll show you that in a few minutes. The menus that we have down here are actually really interesting. These are the more unique aspects of the game that I've noticed so far. Soil moisture needs to be managed. So we can kind of see, you can see in the mini map up here in the top right, as well as right in front of us, the lakes are obviously have a lot of water in them. So the blue is the best soil to build crops on and things like that. And this will actually change. So if we go into a drought, which you can kind of keep an eye on here as well. Here's the weather pattern coming in. If we go into a drought, having our crops closer to the lakes can sometimes help from what I've gathered. And then you can actually see as the rain clouds move across the map, it'll be more or less moist. We can also look at the radiation in the soil. So this, let's see if we can find a better spot. Maybe down here. So the yellow, it goes to red. You can kind of see here from none to high. And what our colonists will have to do, or settlers will have to do, is go in and till the soil, flip it around, and then that removes the radiation from the soil. I don't know if that is accurate or not. I'm guessing not. I did watch the HBO Chernobyl thing, and I don't remember that part of the mini-series, but hey, maybe it's a thing. I forget where it is exactly. It's been a few minutes since I did the tutorial, but we can actively tell them to come till up this soil and get this radiation out of our camp. If this gets too hot and heavy, then I think our people start to get sick or whatever. Anyway, so starting out here, we just have our RV, and we're going to have to provide the basic necessities: water, food, and shelter. We do that by coming in here. We can take a look at our water, and in the very, very, very beginning, we're going to be doing a cistern, and this is what's going to be used to actually hold our water. And we'll be using a jetty as well, which is kind of just like a dock. Let's see, use R. And then with the dock here, our people can come to the end of the dock, scoop up some water from the lake, and then they'll bring it to our cistern. You can see some other things that we have going on here: rainwater collector as well as a well. And it looks like we can do some irrigation maybe later on. I didn't get into that. But we'll start with just the cistern. Maybe here. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. I want to keep things kind of symmetrical. I'm going to move the cistern down more towards the lake, so they have not quite as long of a distance to walk from the cistern to the jetty. And then with 2 people building, I think that's fine to start with, and we'll do like 3 water carriers, and we can unpause for the first time. That'll give our people some things to do while we set up our food stuff. One of our first early game food sources is just cultivating fields. Sure. Looks like we can also do some trees, some hunting lodges, some gatherer's cabin, and fishing huts. I'm not going to say it, but you know exactly what this is like. It's the exact same. Anyway, we can do some cultivated fields to start out with. I'm keeping our paths in mind. I want to keep this somewhat symmetrical. And at a very minimum, this tripped me up for a while. At a very minimum, this has to be 6x6. I could not for the life of me figure out why I couldn't get the cultivated fields to go for a while. But so at the very minimum, 6x6 for our field here. And that what we have to do is select our field and then come here and actually choose what we want to grow. Looks like we can do some hemp later for clothing and stuff, I'm guessing. Oh, excuse me, it says convert it into joints in a pub. Never mind. We'll do some potatoes. That can come later. And we'll do another field, I suppose. I don't think this is actually a thing, but I was like more tempted to do things that grow, like potatoes that grow in more on the ground than above ground, like the corn, because we end up with a lot of rain that is irradiated. I don't think that's actually a system in the game, but it could be. And I also haven't found out if our people are more or less inclined to like a variety of food or not. That hasn't been clear to me either. see. But we'll check that out a bit later as we progress through the playthrough here. I want to start out with these roads, so it allows them to walk faster. Hello? Which can only be good. It doesn't seem as though the dirt road consumes any resource to actually make, so I'm going to go kind of all out here and just build it up. Cool. And then lastly, our houses. Let's see if I did this okay. Our houses are 5 wide. No, not quite. I'm like 1 off. Bummer. I was thinking about doing a house this way and then a house this way, but I think I messed it up, right? 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it doesn't quite work. We could do them facing outward. Maybe that's fine. Then we have to build fewer houses anyway. Sure. Let's do this. We get a bunch of houses going early. And then the other thing in the game, outside of just food, water, and shelter, if we start to look out on the map here, we have different piles of scrap out here, which I think is super cool. I love this like old mossy car. The artwork on these little doodads is pretty incredible. I don't know why I love things like these old metal shelves that are just laying around, but it looks so cool to me. We can do this multiple ways, from what I remember, if I can remember. Here we go. So there's a gather all resources flag. And if we just throw this down, we can just assign people, or excuse me, our like random settlers that are just walking around doing nothing with no tasks, will just come over here and they'll start gathering stuff. They'll start chopping down trees, getting scrap. I like it a lot as a mechanic in the game. What we can do other than that, you can do more specific stuff. If we want to leave these trees up for some reason, or the plants, you can do that. And then later on, what we can do is do a specific scrapyard. And after we have the scrapyard, you can see it has a circle here. And within this, the radius of the circle, they'll go gather all the scrap. We can see some kind of hidden over here in the trees. But the coolest thing that I can't quite show you yet, we'll get to it in a bit, is each of these individual buildings has like a flag, kind of like this, or an area you can target the workers to. So you don't have to like get rid of your scrapyard, demolish it, and then create another one down here where we have tons of scrap. You can just have the same building and farming. Choose seed. Potato. Oh, maybe I forgot to, there we go. Anyway, you can move this flag so you don't have to keep rebuilding the scrapyard over and over again, which I like quite a lot. I think that's pretty cool, and that's about as far as I've gotten in the game. They also show you in the tutorial that eventually you can use this scrap and use a recycler. So the recycler is going to take the scrap that you gather throughout the map, and you can choose from the recycler menu what they do with that scrap. So if we make a tailor shop, we can have our recyclers turn our scrap into cloth. The cloth is then turned into protective clothing for our settlers, and then we have more radiation resistance as a result. Pretty cool. I didn't get into much of this other stuff, so I'm looking to enjoy the pub, the school, all this stuff as we progress through the series. Where is we have 10 adults and 5 children. What I've noticed, you can kind of see the building going. This is as slow as the game goes. They build this stuff pretty quickly. It would be cool if there were more animations there to see this stuff slowly build up over time. But again, this is just a very early access game so far. What's this guy doing? Oh, this is his water gathering jug. Let's check this guy out. Job, Cheryl. She's got a cool post-apocalyptic haircut. I like it. So we have 4 people, I think, doing that right now. And again, it's because these settlers will go do basically any task that they deem to be a priority. And of course, getting water is a priority. We don't want to run out. But you can see this person over here is going to come mine up this scrap pile and bring us some scrap back. I wish we could zoom in a little more. I wanna watch these people do their work. This is obviously wood, and then this one looks like it's a food thing. Can't actually see the food. But the Gatherer's Hut, where is it? Here. Tells me that there must be some berries or bushes or whatever that you can... Oh, there they are, actually. All throughout the forests. What our Forester's Lodge will allow us to do is do a cut and replant of trees, whereas this is just kind of a clear-cut method with this. So all the trees will be gone eventually, and they won't be replenished, whereas our Forester's Lodge will keep that stuff in place. The scrap appears to... you can't replant the scrap, but you can't plant little metal bushes and expect more scrap to show up. That seems to be kind of a permanent loss. What they said, at least currently in the roadmap for the game, is eventually you'll be able to launch expeditions to various ruins throughout your map. You can kind of see there's a yellow cluster here. We'll take a look at some of these other ones in a minute as well, but currently you can just mark them for salvaging, but it appears as though this would be an area where you could send people to try to find cool stuff later on. So the buildings are here. They have a lot of really cool, again, buildings, but your ability to do anything other than just tear them down for scrap right now is about as far as the game currently is. Ooh, here's another one. So there's a tank here. It's very cool, as well as a military base. Check this guy out, maybe. The doctor's office. So look, I mean, there's a lot of... You can use your imagination and fill in the pieces as to what these expedition missions are going to give us in the long run of the game. Some cool stuff, in my opinion. And it looks like... I don't know if they're going to go this direction, but if you have a military base with a tank, I would think it would be pretty cool if we could get our own... Again, Mad Max-style vehicles to go to war with other factions, or if we get attacked by people who want our resources. That would be a cool direction. Currently, it seems to be a pretty chill city builder, though, so I don't know if that's the plan or not. Build some more houses, just to have them. I've noticed that the houses don't allow for like as many people as I would like. You can see that just a regular cabin, which is our base building, has a maximum number of inhabitants, 2 adults and 3 children. But the sturdy house, which is the upgrade, so if we were to upgrade this cabin, also can hold 2 adults, 3 children. So our only way to avoid having just mass housing everywhere is to use these shelters. And it looks like the shelters prevent people from having children, which maybe is a useful thing if you're trying to deal with an exploding population or something. But this will hold 25 people, I think adults only. It's pretty big, but you can tell... You know, this is 25 people. This is also 25 people. Actually, now that I just throw this on here, it's the same number of people. What? Is that correct? Interesting. I thought this was like a more efficient piece of housing, but it seems like it's the same. Outside of it being adults only. Okay, well, I guess that's been... thought of already and maybe balanced. Who knows? Ooh. So here's the soil moisture menu, and you can... I think this might be some rain clouds coming through. You can see that like actively moving across. Oh, look, you can see the rain. Cool. So I don't know if it'll go over here or not. It looks like it's going down this way. But you can see this part's getting more filled with drought. I think what we're going to do... We could diversify our food, like I was talking about earlier with the fishing hut. I kind of feel like it's a why not thing. Why wouldn't we do that? What? Oh, low food. Well... Okay. Yes. We're right here on the lake anyway. We don't have a lot of extra adults. I'm going to speed up the game slightly so we can see some more systems here before the end of the video. Eventually, once we get these houses going, you'll kind of notice, like, okay, so we lost a child and we gained an adult. I think that's a good thing. And eventually what we'll see is like as everything is like really cozy and people have work and they're really happy, they'll like the kids come out pretty quick. I don't I don't actually know. It's not clear to me. Children help their families to transport food and water to their home. Well, that's useful. Okay, so they don't do nothing. It doesn't appear as though there's some kind of like Frostpunk mechanic to enable child labor yet. But maybe. We do something other than potatoes? Get some beans going? What's good to just eat? Like some peppers? Peppers are pretty good raw. They have different attributes. You can actually see down here how long they take to grow. We want something, we should have like, okay, so the potatoes are 4.3 seasons. That's why we almost ran out of food. They take forever. I suppose we could actually like pull up a calculator and see which of these is the most efficient. I'm gonna do the bell peppers just because they're fast though. If we have something that takes a really long time to grow, we can maybe compensate for a long growing period with something that doesn't take quite so long. Or at least that's the thought. Well, now that we have more adults coming out, we'll need more housing. My symmetry? Did we move this? No. Oh no. What are these? Post-apocalyptic boars? Oh, those are the things we can hunt. But you don't want to hunt boars. They're really mean. What do we have? Oh. So I didn't get to play around with the hunting. Okay, so now you can see this flag here has a question mark on it. That means that all of our people have gathered everything from that area. And we are without the ability to do anything more. I'm going to keep the flag around. But what we'll do is take a look at what resources we actually need. And of course, it's all of them. But we need wood and scrap, I think, to start things off here. I'm going to make our wood hut, Forester's Lodge, somewhere out here. Trying to keep things semi-symmetrical. Cool. Give these people a path to work. And with all those guys out there, I notice we have a lot of scrap over here, so we'll put our scrapyard this direction. There isn't like a cardinal direction here, is there? I keep wanting to say like north, south, east, west, but I don't currently see a compass. Maybe this is north if we're looking up. Oh, food, tragic food shortages. I know. So we'll put this guy like as far back this way as we can go. Oh, we can put it on the trees. Okay. Put it there. The music is now super quiet. It was really loud in the menu, so I turned it down. But it's pretty good. I hope it's been coming through so far. Okay, so we only have 12 adults. We've got 7 children. This is what I'm talking about. They come fast. We'll do like 1 and 1, and then leave maybe 1 person just as a miscellaneous do whatever you want kind of person. But now we can actually see if we click on these, the Forester's Lodge, you can see what I mean. So they have a cut down and reforest philosophy, or if you run out of trees, I'm imagining maybe there's like a radiation storm that comes and wipes out all the trees. Maybe you can just put them on reforest, or if your stockpile is way too high, you can just have them not focus on cutting down trees anymore. Don't really know, haven't gotten there yet. Same idea with the scrapyard. Oh. They want to show you. Hopefully they finish. Cool. So now you can see the circle of influence here. The worker is going to go collect all the scrap from here. But if we run out, now we can actually change with this guy where the person is going to go collect scrap from. So we run out here. We don't have to demolish the building. We can just throw the flag over here. And as far as I can tell, they'll just go over here and get the scrap. Now this is getting farther and farther from home. Maybe there's other consequences there if there's again a radiation storm that comes through, or I don't really know what at this point, but there could be consequences to that. Got 2 settlers. I think we should do another fisher. The food thing is, it's kind of freaking me out. I feel like the fisher is of a similar philosophy as the peppers. They can just go over here and get like just the quick day-to-day food supply. They're going out here catching some nice walleye, maybe some bass, who knows. It's not quite clear where this is, so I can't figure it out. I can't like Google what kind of fish are in this area, but I bet it's delicious. Maybe just some panfish off the dock here. But you can kind of tell that they just like, they catch some fish, they bring it back here, and you're good to go. So the more fishers, the better, I figure. Put that up to 3. I'm kind of nervous about this food thing. We've got like 3 extra kids since I last looked. This guy? Just gonna demolish the flag. That doesn't cost anything to make. I should have confirmed that. Asks? Gather all? Yeah. Doesn't cost anything. Can only be built once? Wait, what? Requirements can only be built once. I think that could be rephrased. Like limit 1 or something. Can only be built once. It's got to be a... it's got to be false because I can make another one. Anyway, early access things. I think what we'll do, if we can afford it, is just do these shelters. Oh, we can't. We have to have plastics and cloth. Which means we'll need the recycler online. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Let's do just some generic housing maybe through here next to our Forester's Lodge. Yeah, through should be fine. We'll double that up when we can. Our food is recovering nicely. One other thing that I would really like to see them implement into the game at some point is like a general plus or minus. I think Surviving Mars had this kind of feature where you could see if you were using too much resource in a day or if you had a surplus at the end of the day, and it was kind of a fluctuating number because we don't have any way to tell if this is like, oh, our food production is just slightly off. We need just a little bit more to get through the day, at least as far as I can tell. Maybe there are some statistics here that'll tell us, like, if graphs and more detailed statistics if we're using too much stuff. I can't click on anything here. Maybe it's yet to be implemented. This guy. Production limits. Okay. So this will stop us from just gathering too much junk. So, like, we don't need, 500 neck scarves. So we're at 50 or so. Okay. Then our raw materials as well. I saw that there was a warehouse, I think, somewhere. Yeah, so we can just build a warehouse to generally increase our limits without having to worry too much about that. And it also looks like we can do... I'm not going to say it. It's very similar to another game, though. We could just create a market here that'll distribute all of our general resources as if we have like a hotspot for something over here. We can then have just like one person transport it to the market instead of having everyone in these houses go get it from that spot. They can have it in a nice one central area so we can very quickly increase our efficiency there, which I'm pretty pleased with. I think there is room in the game for a fair amount of efficiency things, keeping houses near workplaces, and making sure that we have room for growth here. This one's at 4. Got 2 new settlers. This is kind of what I mean by the game goes really quickly if you let it. Like it's only been like 5 days, 6 days. We're at 9 kids now. 6 days or so that we've been recording this video, and like we've got 9 kids and 10 kids. Stop. There's too many. We got 15 adults. Our food is going so fast. We'll put 4 fishers on duty here. What we could also do is just make bigger farms in general, and then increase the number of farmers. So instead of like a bunch of 6x6 fields, we could do... Oh, it's kind of limited. 15 by... Okay, so you can't go more than 15. You can do 15 by 15, I assume. Yeah, so 15 by 15 is the biggest field you can do. Seems, well, it's too big, in my opinion, for where we're at now in the game. I like the idea of getting these hunters' lodges out. Maybe we can just scan for food, though. It seems kind of scarce. We've got like 2 packs of boars that we can see there. And that'll be it? Is that it? There's 1 over there? Yeah, the Gatherer's Cabin seems way better than the Hunting Lodge for now. And at least we could double up our Forest Lodge and Gatherer's Cabin. And then there should always be, like, bushes for food within the forested region, since they're replanting all of those trees. I'd be curious to know if there's room for efficiencies if we were to move our flag over here and then clean out all the scrap from this area. What is this? Oh yeah, we got to do that. It's saying we need protective clothing for our people. What we'll need to do is use I talked about this earlier, the recycler in the tailor shop. We'll get there in a second. Anyway, if we could use the scrapyard to clean out all of the scrap here and then make more room for trees, so our people would plant trees on the scrap pile and so on. Be a neat little mechanic. So I think the last thing we'll do here before we call it for this video is get our recycler and tailor up. Kind of hate that. I'm gonna keep them close to each other. Maybe we'll just do over here. Recycler and our tailor. Does this fit perfectly here? Oh, you'd love to see it. It does. So we want to prioritize this guy over the tailor for now. And it looks like our food is up to 1,000 now, so we are pretty safe. 1 single refiner to make cloth. So we can see here from the recycler, we can choose cloth, plastic, electronics, or metal. I don't know if that means that we ultimately need 4 recyclers to get all of these going or not, or if it's more efficient just to have the 1 and cycle through as needed. It seems like a lot of micromanaging to do later on. It'd be kind of cool if we could just set limits for all of these and it would evenly distribute between cloth, plastic, electronics, and metal, like we can over here. Just again, set the limits and let them go. I kind of get that, like, we don't probably need electronics or metal this early in the game, but it would be nice not to have to micromanage that. Oh, so our tailor actually requires cloth to make the building. But we'll get there. Where's our cloth? It's here. We got way too many kids in this colony. They need to grow up and get to work. Please. All right, well, our tailor is coming on slowly but surely. We're at 8 out of 12. Speed it up a little more. We don't have much more to do right now, I don't think. Where's our scrap? We're at 163. This is gonna bother me. I have to know. So I'm gonna move this flag over here. And now our scrapyard's gonna gather from this place. I really want to know if we can just get rid of these and make for a more efficient wood gathering area. I can't resist. All right, we'll remove a builder and put them on tailoring for now. And we can see here on the tailor that we can choose to do the neck scarf, activated carbon mask, or the radiation suit. It just depends on how much resource goes into each of them. Obviously, the neck scarves are going to be the easiest thing. They just take a little bit of scrap that's been converted into cloth, and then it gets more and more complicated from there. Actually, don't know what that middle icon is there. I'm guessing it's like charcoal, because we can ultimately, yeah, oh, here it is, charcoal, yeah. It's made from wood using a charcoal kiln. So we would need a source of charcoal to make these masks, and looks like plastic and charcoal for the radiation suits. Pretty cool, honestly. Looks like our settlers will at least have some protective clothing in just the mask. The good news is, at least so far, the The radiation storms haven't really started. There's not much to clean up around here. It's pretty safe for now. People are going to be well fed. Maybe we could work on this water slightly. Slow down. Yeah, that seems like a decent idea. As well as these tools. I know that we're going to ultimately need tools if it's anything like some other game that I won't mention. So we'll need a workshop, which requires metal. So we might need another refiner. Pretty cool. So that's a quick look at the systems in place here in Endzone. I hope you've all enjoyed it so far. I'll be back for more episodes of Endzone. I really can't get enough. This is very much in my wheelhouse. This is my jam. Thank you very much. The best way to know when more videos are released, of course, is to subscribe to the channel. If you have any tips for me, if you've put more hours into Endzone than I have so far, again, I just got it. Please feel free to let me know in the comments section below. Hope to see you all in the next one. Bye.